Welcome back to Wisdom Unveiled, your deep dive into, well, profound insights from across time. Just before we jump in, the usual but important disclaimer. This deep dive translates and reproduces talks with brilliant Iranian philosophers like Dr. Ibrahim Dinani and Dr. Esmail Manzouri Larijani. Translation being what it is, some subtleties might get lost. We do apologize if anything isn't perfectly conveyed. Okay, so this is deep dive number 2 in our 40-part journey into the wisdom of Faridaddin Attar Nishapuri. Last time, we started looking at Attar's huge influence and touched on his really core idea that pain, Dard, is absolutely essential to even begin the spiritual path.
That's right. We sort of set the stage. Attar sees this pain not as, something negative to avoid, but as the necessary first step. It's what perfects the soul, really.
Okay, so let's really dig into that today. If pain is the key, what kind of pain are we actually talking about? Is it just any suffering?
No, not at all. And that's crucial.
And who guides you if the path itself is, well, built on suffering? It sounds a bit daunting.
It does, but Attar offers a way through.
Right. And what does this inner journey look like, according to him? So our mission today is to unpack Attar's, frankly, pretty radical view of pain. We'll look at his idea of the spiritual guide, the peer, and follow this fascinating seeking thought through his big work, Musbibatname. The goal really is to see how all these pieces fit together, how they light up the path to, real transformation, self-discovery.
And what's so compelling is how Attar takes what we normally just call suffering and turns it into, well, an indispensable spiritual tool. For him, this pain, this dard, it's way beyond just the worldly problems or physical hurt. It's mainly what he calls the pain of separation, dardi fara.
Dardi fara, okay.
Yeah, that deep, intense ache, a yearning to reunite with the beloved, with God. It's like a spiritual homesickness, a really profound one.
So not a stubbed toe, but this deep soul ache, yearning for its origin, an existential thing.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Existential.
I remember reading a mystic saying, pain is the essence of every movement. That really hits home here, doesn't it?
Oh. It does. It highlights how this specific pain is an engine, a driver for inner growth, for change.
It propels you forward.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And interestingly, you can even see hints of this in the Quran. Take the example of Mary.
Okay.
The text says, the pains of childbirth drove her to the trunk of a palm tree. Her physical pain, the dard, it didn't stop her, it pushed her.
Push her towards
Sustenance. Towards a divine manifestation, unexpectedly from the dry palm. It shows how spiritual pain can do the same, push the soul towards growth, towards divine nourishment it wouldn't otherwise find.
That's a really powerful image, pain leading to divine nourishment.
It's an active force, propulsive.
So this pain, then, it's almost the same as the intensity of true wanting, true seeking. Talib, as he calls it.
Yes, exactly. It's that deep, sincere desire for truth. Totally different from, wanting a new car or something fleeting.
It's not a whim. It's a core yearning.
A core yearning that becomes the fuel. And Attar's view on this is, well, pretty radical compared to other traditions that often focus on just eliminating suffering.
How so?
Well, he has this incredibly striking verse, let the unbeliever have his unbelief and the faithful his faith, a speck of pain for Attar's heart.
Wow. So he's putting that pain above faith or unfaith?
He's saying the longing, the dard for the beloved, is paramount.
All right.
It's more important than doctrines or labels. It's what truly defines the seeker. Everything else is secondary.
That really does challenge our usual categories. And this dard, this transformative pain, it only works if it comes from a place of real sincerity, right, Siddiq? Mm-hmm. And genuine seeking to lab.
Absolutely crucial. Without that deep sincerity, that authentic drive, it's just suffering, pointless suffering. It doesn't transform.
It needs that genuine root.
Exactly. But if you do cultivate that pain, that sincere longing, Attar makes a promise. He says, if you have pain, a guide will appear. The lock of your pain will find its key.
Ah, so the pain itself attracts the solution, the guidance. That's hopeful.
It is. And this leads us straight to his revolutionary idea about the spiritual guide, the peer.
Okay, because historically, there was some debate about Attar's own guide, wasn't there? Whether he followed Nosham el-Din Kubra or Baghdadi, or if he was Uwaisi.
Yes, scholars like Nafisi and Forzanfar had different views on his external lineage. Some argued Kubrawiya, others pointed elsewhere, or towards the Uwaisiya tradition.
The Uwaisiya being those guided inwardly without physically meeting their master.
Precisely, like Uwais al-Qarani himself connected spiritually to the Prophet Muhammad despite never meeting him.
That story of the Prophet smelling Uwais' scent from Yemen, That signifies that deep spiritual link, right?
Exactly. It transcends physical presence. And this ties directly into Attar's own answer about the peer.
So what was Attar's definitive take? Who is the true guide?
He reveals it in Musibatname. For Attar, the ultimate peer, the true guide, isn't someone external, it's the human soul itself. The spirit. The Jan.
The John. So the guide is within us.
Yes, it aligns perfectly with that Uwasi idea. Guidance comes from within, through that profound spiritual connection, and, importantly, receptivity.
That really shifts the focus, doesn't it? Puts a lot of responsibility on the individual seeker to cultivate that inner connection.
It absolutely does. It's about tuning that inner ear, that inner eye. External teachers might point the way, sure, but the real guide has to emerge from your own soul, your Jan.
Which brings us to the Musibatname itself, the Book of Calamity, or Book of Suffering. The title alone really emphasizes this theme of pain, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It frames the whole work. It's Attar's incredibly personal account of the soul's journey, a journey defined by seeking, suffering, and ultimately transformation.
And the main character isn't even a person, technically. It's the seeking thought, Seliki Fekrat.
Exactly. It represents Attar's own mind, tireless, questioning, constantly in motion, not just physically, but intellectually, spiritually, always searching.
And this search is comprehensive, to say the least.
Oh, incredibly so. The seeking thought starts with the angels. Gabriel, first the keeper of revelation, then Mikael, Israfil, Israel, the throne bearers. It questions them all.
But doesn't find the ultimate answer there.
No, it finds them profoundly important, messengers of truth, but not the source itself. So it keeps searching. It remains unsatisfied.
So where does it go next?
It descends. It engages with the material world, minerals, plants, animals, interrogating existence at every level.
Still seeking that final truth within creation.
Yes, but even the wonders of the natural world don't fully quench that deep thirst, that dard.
So it keeps going.
It does. Driven by that insatiable longing, it turns to the prophets. Dawood, Yusuf, Yaqub, Musa, Isa. It questions each one, learns from their wisdom.
But even the prophets don't provide the final answer.
They provide immense wisdom, guidance, steps on the path. But the seeking thought realizes their stations, however exalted, point beyond themselves towards something ultimate. Its thirst isn't fully satisfied.
So after angels, nature, prophets, where does this epic journey finally end? What's the ultimate destination for this seeking thought?
For Attar, the culmination is reaching the presence of Prophet Muhammad. He calls him Hatme Maratabat, the seal of ranks, the culmination of all stations.
Oh, yeah, Maratabat.
It's there, at that ultimate point, that the seeking thought receives what Attar calls the Mohammedan wine.
The Mohammedan wine, what does that represent?
It symbolizes the ultimate wisdom, the purest divine love, the complete spiritual realization embodied by the prophet. It's like a final intoxication with truth.
So it's not a literal drink, but a state of being, a complete absorption of that prophetic essence.
Exactly. A transformation where the seeker fully aligns with that highest manifestation of truth and love. And what's really key here, especially given Attar is known as a poet of love, is the immense value he places on thought Fecker. The hero is the seeking thought.
That seems counterintuitive, maybe. Aren't mystics sometimes seen as being against the intellect? Prioritizing heart over head.
That's a common misconception. Attar isn't against intellect itself, not at all.
What's the distinction he makes then?
His critique is aimed at what he'd call partial intellect, or mercenary intellect, the kind that gets stuck in worldly calculations, superficial logic, ego-driven stuff.
The everyday calculating mind, maybe.
Sort of, yeah. But authentic, pure intellect, akikwatsi, sacred intellect, or ake-ilahi, divine intellect, that's different. For Attar, that kind of intellect isn't opposed to love or spiritual insight.
It works with it.
It absolutely accompanies and supports it. That's why the seeking thought, guided by dard and aiming for truth, is the essence of the seeker. It's intellect purified and directed.
This journey in Musibatname is just vast. How does it relate to his other famous framework, the Seven Valleys or Seven Cities of Love? You know, nature, self, intellect, spirit, secret, hidden, most hidden. Rumi famously said Attar traveled those cities while he was still in the bend of one alley.
That's a great question. They're deeply connected, really. Two maps of the same territory, maybe from different angles.
How so?
Well, Musabatname traces the journey of the seeking thought sort of outward through creation, angels, prophets, gathering knowledge, and realizing limitations. The seven valleys map the journey inward, the stages of the soul's purification and ascent.
Ah, okay. So external seeking and internal transformation.
Exactly. The encounters in Musabatname prepare the seeker for the inner transformations described in the seven valleys. The dard, the longing, the search, they fuel both journeys.
It shows how complete his vision was. Now, you mentioned earlier the culmination of this pain, this dard, finds expression in the that sigh or moan of longing.
Yes, the it's the peak expression, the perfection almost of that spiritual pain.
Why is a sigh so significant?
Because it represents utter sincerity. Think of the story of Zuleika and Yusuf. When Yusuf let out an while being struck, it wasn't fake. It came from his deepest truth, a pure, unmediated expression of his state.
So it's the sound of authenticity. And Attar makes that incredible claim. If hell joined me, one sigh of mine will burn 7 hells. What does he mean by burning hell with a sigh? Surely not literal hellfire?
No, absolutely not literal. Again, it's internal. For Attar, hell, here is the inner fire, the fire of our own vices. Envy, arrogance, hypocrisy, greed, cruelty, the stuff we create inside ourselves.
Our personal hells generated by the ego.
Precisely. And the born from that intense, sincere dard, that longing for the divine, has this immense purifying power. It can incinerate those inner hells.
Wow.
By annihilating the ego structures that create them, it clears the space, makes room for the divine presence. It's the Gnostic sigh consuming the inner dragon of vices, an ego meltdown, you could say.
Wow. The as a tool for radical purification. So after the Mohammedan wine, after this purification, the seeking thought continues inward through sense, imagination, intellect.
Yes, into the deeper chambers of the self. Sense, imagination, khayal, intellect, aqwal.
Yeah.
Then the heart, dil, and finally the soul.
Yeah, and he makes a big distinction between the heart, dil, or qalb, and the soul, yan.
A crucial distinction. The heart, dil, or qalb is defined by its changeability. The very word qalb relates to turning, revolving. It's always shifting, fluctuating, influenced by conditions.
And like our emotions, our day-to-day feelings, always up and down.
Exactly. It's volatile. But the soul, the jhan, is different.
How is the John different?
The jhan is stable. It's fixed in truth. It represents a higher, constant state of being, already in potential union with God. Reaching the jhan marks the end of one journey.
Which journey is that?
The journey from creation to truth, min al-khalq ila al-haq. From the multiplicity of the world back to the divine source.
And reaching the John is the start of another.
Yes. That's when the real deep journey begins. The journey in God, Sir fi Allah. And Attar says this requires permission from the truth, from Haq itself. It's a divinely guided phase.
Permission. Like you can't force your way into that deeper state.
It implies a yielding, an alignment, the individual will merging with the divine will. It's no longer just the seeker's effort alone.
It reminds me of that analogy, the raindrop traveling through streams and rivers, always moving, changing.
Until it reaches the ocean. Exactly. The journey to the ocean is min al-khalq ila al-haq.
And once it merges with the ocean.
That's when its true potential, its real movement as part of the whole, begins. That's the Sayr fi Allah, the journey in God. The drop becomes the ocean.
Losing its separateness.
Precisely. And ultimately, for Attar, who is the guide for that journey, the ultimate pure.
You said earlier the yan, the soul. But is there something even beyond that?
The ultimate source of that inner guidance, the ultimate master, is the inner reality, the spiritual essence or wilaya of Prophet Muhammad.
Wilaya.
Yeah.
That means something like spiritual authority or guardianship, right?
Yeah.
But it sounds deeper.
It is deeper. In Sufism, wilaya isn't just authority, like worldly power. It's profound closeness, friendship with God.
Yeah.
It's a state of being a conduit for divine grace, guidance, light.
So it's an inner spiritual reality, a current.
Yes, a living current of enlightenment. And for Sufis, this wilaya, embodied perfectly by the Prophet, also encompasses the light of Imam Ali and the essence of all prophecy and sainthood. It's the ultimate inner guide, the secret of gnosis, the secret of wilaya.
That ties it all together beautifully. What an incredible journey Attar maps out. So this deep dive, we've really covered some ground. Attar's radical take on pain as longing, the soul as the true guide, that epic quest of the seeking thought, the purifying fire of the and this vital difference between the changing heart and the constant soul.
It's just scratching the surface, really. Attar's work is an ocean in itself, offering endless depths for anyone willing to make that inner journey. It starts, as he insists, with embracing that dard.
Okay, so as we wrap up, here's something to chew on. Attar draws this sharp line between the heart, the dill always changing, and the soul, the Jan stable in truth. If the whole point is to move from that fluctuating dill to the steady N, what's one small, consistent inner practice you could maybe start today? Something to help anchor you, even a little bit, in that deeper, unwavering Jan.
Something to reflect on. Until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep asking those deep questions, keep looking within.
Thank you for joining us on Wisdom Unveiled. We'll continue the journey next time.